This video tutorial is going to cover how to create a custom texture using Photoshop and non-destructive editing. First step is to export out the UV coordinates to be used as a template inside of your photo manipulation software. In our case, we're going to be using Photoshop. So to do that, we go to polygons inside the UV map and go down to UV snapshot. So here we can determine the scale of our image, and I think I'm going to go for sort of a 2K 2048 by 2048, and I'm just going to save it as a JPEG, and I'm going to browse and make sure it saves out to my images folder, and I'm going to call it room UV, like so. And I've already got one in there, so I'm just going to rename it O2 and save. And make sure I've got my model selected, and once I'm ready, click OK. And down the bottom here you can see we've saved file and it's saved it out. So now we pop over to Photoshop, and I'll just what I want to do is open up that file. So in my images folder, R02, and there it is. So here's a representation of my scene, of my model, as a template that we can use as a texture. So a good idea is to check out this website here, textures.com, and if you subscribe you get free 15 credits. I think it's weekly, or might even be daily. Free account, free images every day for free. Fantastic. But well worth grabbing some premium credits as well, so you can get the bigger image sizes. But in here I've just gone in and grabbed a few different images, including this checkerboard, which is seamless, so it will tile, and also some other textures from in here, as well as some leaks. Now the beauty of these leaks are the alpha has already been created, so you can just apply them directly over inside of Photoshop. But textures.com, well worth it. Okay, back over into Photoshop, and so here are the textures that I've got already. So the first one that I'm going to work on is going to be the floor. So this, if I've already opened up the image, I'll grab Command A, select all, or you can go to image selection, select all, like so. And if I go file, so this is going to be our floor texture. I could just go in, select all, and copy. So edit, copy, or Command C. I'm on a Mac. And then go into my UV map and place it on top, like so. And here's the floor down the bottom here. And now that area will be covered by this texture. But a more intuitive, or a more flexible way, I should say, is to do the following. And what we're going to do is create a pattern from this texture, because we know it's tileable already, because we've got it from textures.com and it's said it was seamless tileable. So To use it as a pattern, what we can do is, if we go select all, to use it as a pattern, what we can do is go up to edit and define pattern once we have everything selected, and then it's going to be saved as a pattern. So we can access that pattern if we come down into our working space. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select, let's focus in there, Command plus and minus to scale in and out, or you can use the magnifying glass to scale in and out. And if you want to be precise, Command R will bring up the rulers, and that allows you to drag out some rulers. And I'm just sort of selecting the space. If we want to move the rulers, you can use this tool here and then slightly move them around like so. And what I'm going to do now is use the lasso tool or polygon lasso tool and just go through and select the space that I want to capture. Like so. And now that's created a selection. So I can see that by the little marching ants. I'll create a new layer. I'll fill that layer with any color just to highlight what's going on. But what I really want to do is, with the selection selected, I'm going to create a layer mask. So to do that, we click on this little icon down the bottom here, and that basically turns that selection into a mask for this layer. So if I move, and I'm going to make sure I'm moving the image part, not the mask part, and I'm going to deselect the little link in between so they don't both move. And if I move the image part now, you can see it's masked out from the background. That layer selected, I'm just going to fill in that whole layer like so, and you can see it's all red now. However, red's not what we want that pattern. So with that layer filled in, double click on it, and we're going to bring in the pattern overlay, and now, because we've already defined it, the pattern is inside there. So the beauty of this is we can scale it. So we don't want to make it, bigger than the original pixels, or else it will get pixelated. But we could scale it down if we like. We want to rotate around our pattern. I'll just make it a little bit bigger, like so. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do it to a separate file first and fill in that space. Now, it doesn't have to be red, but that's just the color I've got selected at the moment. And we'll go in. We'll get not the gradient, the pattern overlay, like so, and I'm happy with the scale. But so what I wanted to do was rotate these guys around. So I'll just select all, Command A, and Command T is going to allow us to transform, which I'll just show you where that is. So transform selection. And that allows us to rotate our image and whatnot around. So let's do that. But before we do that, what we have to do is we have to turn it into pixels. So we'll right click and we'll go rasterize layer styles. So it's going to turn it into actual pixels. And now when we transform, we can rotate that around like so. Now, if I want it just in that space, what I can do again is load up this selection, this layer as a selection. And to do that, what we do is we hold down the Command key and we scroll over a particular layer. And see this little box? And what that will do, it will load it up as a selection. So let me just zoom in there. As you can see, the marching ants are running around there. So with that selection selected, I can go up into a new layer and create a new layer mask for that particular area. Unclick the area, and then I can move that image around. So I probably want to line it up so that the tiles are starting at the border, like so. That looks pretty good to me. All right, and we can get rid of our other layer, like so. Let's tidy it up, and we'll call this floor. All right, so there we go. That's the process of creating a pattern from a tileable texture and then converting it into a layer style and using layer masks to chop out the particular area. All right, so let's do the walls now. And for the walls, I'm just going to select the area that I want. And I don't mind going over this space here because these are the parts of the window. And this won't come up in the image because it's outside of the polygon space, but that's okay. Okay, so now we can move this image around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this image and I'm going to line it up where I want the most detail. So here's the corner sort of section. Let's try that, like there. And I'm also going to use this for the rest of the space. So let me just hide everything else out, just to make it a bit clearer. All right. So the situation is we've got this image, but it's not taking up the whole wall area. So we've got a couple of different options that we could do. We could just take that image and then duplicate it. So paste in another image and put it on the side like so, and load up the layer mask for there as well, and then manipulate it until we sort of line it up and it looks all right. We can even go into that layer mask, and this is the beauty of layer masks, is brush in areas that we want to see and we don't want to see into our image, and we can blend it in nicely like that, and that's going to work quite well. Now the other option that we have is we can clone areas. So using the clone brush, I can select a clonable area. So I'm selecting a source area by holding down the Alt key. And then when I paint, I'll make sure all layers is turned on. The sample area. When I paint with that brush, it's going to paint in from that sample space, like so. And we might even clone out this brickwork. Like so, and that works pretty well. Now I'm just going to merge these two together. So flatten images, like so. And I'm also going to load it up as a selection and create a layer mask from that selection as well. Now, the other tools which are really quite good are the patch tool. So let's say I want to get rid of this spot here, grab that section, and then move it across to where I want to sample from. And it's basically doing what we did before. Oops, make sure we're in the right layer. There we go. And then it will blend in between the two. So that works really well. The other thing that works really well is also the content aware fill. So I'll select this area and edit fill and choose content aware and go OK. It will fill it with what it thinks would be good inside there. So let's do that for, like, we don't want repeating sort of textures too much, so let's get rid of that area like so, and we might get rid of that one too. That looks pretty good. And anywhere else we can see, you know, something a little bit not so convincing. There we go, looks pretty good. I'll just remove this line. It's a bit random, but that's okay. And I think I'll do the patch tool just to indicate what sort of air, what I really want to be in that space. Like so, that's okay. Looks okay to me. And maybe I'll change this so it's not exactly the same. So yeah, if I come down here, that's going to look a bit better. Beautiful. There we go. All right, so there's our wall. Just hide these guys, bring this back. So what's left is just the ceiling. So I'll do the ceiling just as I did before with by using a sort of a tileable texture. This is a seamless texture as well, so it's tileable. There we have it. Like, we could save that out and that would be fine. But to make things a little bit more realistic, we're going to add some detail. In this case, these leaks, again from textures.com. And I'm just going to select the top part, copy that, and go back to my texture and create a new layer, paste it in over the top. And because it's got the alpha channel already set up for us, we can just apply it directly on top. Now, we probably don't want to put it over the existing detail that we want. So I'm going to create a layer mask, a blank one, which is completely full. And then if I use the black, it's going to remove some of that. So the beauty of the layer mask is if I change it to white, I can now paint that stuff back in to areas that I want. But I think I'll just keep things more detail around this section. Like so. Bring back some of the bits across there. And I'll also paste in another one on top. And again, use the layer mask to reveal and hide different areas. Like so, and I won't worry about that area on the side. So that's good. And we'll go back to our leaks. I'll grab that bottom section. Copy that. And paste it in down again over the wall. And using the Alt key, making a duplication of what's selected by moving it across. And I'm going to do that again for the ceiling sort of detail. And if I Command T, right click, I can then flip horizontally as well. I'll duplicate that. Oops. Create another copy, Command T, and I'll rotate it around. Do the same up the top here. Command T, and I'll just flip. Like so. And we might even bring that down onto the floor area as well. Get rid of those extra guides and so forth. And just want to add some detail in that little doorway. Make it look really grungy. I'm just moving it around so it's not so obvious that it's the same texture, hopefully. And I'm just going to clean that one up as well because I want to not have it running through. Like so. And that looks pretty good. At this stage I could put also other details in here like posters on the wall or pictures and that sort of thing, but I think I'll leave it at that. I'll also group in all these guys together into a folder. Just call it overlay. And just to clean things up a bit, what I like to do is, I'll just turn these guys off so you can see what's happening, is just select the outside. So I'll go in and just use the magic wand tool, select the outside of my UVs like so, and then come up and create a new layer. Give it a layer mask, which was the opposite to what I wanted. So Command I, put a color in, which will be black. So it's basically a cutout over the top of everything. So when I bring everything back in, the floor, the roof or ceiling, and overlays, I can see that all coming through there nicely already. So with that, I'll save the image. I'll save a working file version, so save as, and Photoshop file with layers, yep, save as, but I'll also save out a flat version. So I prefer to work with TIFFs, but you could use PNGs or JPEGs if you really wanted to. So TIFF without any layers or alpha channel directly inside my source images folder, and I'm just going to call it Room 02. So that finishes up our image-based texture, how to prepare it. In the next video, we're going to have a look at how we set up the shader network to utilize this image.